Good, yeah.
Some things just don't.
Call to order the January 18th, 2022 Putnam County Planning Commission meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance. Have a roll call, please.
Jason Asbury,
Here.
Heather Davis,
Here.
Jim Dodger,
Here.
Marty Edwards, Ron Foster,
Here.
David Hopper, Brian Willman, Dick Mays,
Here.
David Meadows,
Here.
Thor Meeks,
Here.
David Mills, Jacob Pack, Stephen Perry,
Here.
Glenn Yeager.
Here. Thank you.
We have 9 present, we do have 4.
Okay. The staff had sent out the minutes from the November 16th, 2021 meeting. They're also in your pack. Please take a chance to look at them, and I'll entertain a motion to accept.
Mr. President, move to accept the minutes as written.
I have a motion for accept. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. With 2022, we have election of officers for this board. Would a member of the election committee like to present their officers for consideration? Ron, you're on that committee.
I'm sorry.
You're on the election committee,
For,
for officers for 2022.
for officers, yes.
Would you like to present the officers that the committee has put up?
I think the officer is the officer,
Fair enough.
Mr. Jason Asbury.
Formality. I will accept. We do need a motion for that.
Say that the slate has been put before us, and we accept
Motion made. Have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye. I'm sorry, Mr. President, but could you get a little closer to the microphone? I have a little trouble hearing you.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right. We've come to the part of our agenda here for citizens' concerns. This would be any item that is not currently on the agenda. So if there is any citizens that would like to bring a concern that's not going to be discussed later, this is your opportunity. Okay, seeing none, move on. The first item up for tonight is the text amendment of 2022-01. This amendment was discussed in the November meeting or October meeting and was tabled. We will need a motion to take this amendment off the table for discussion.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, Melissa?
Okay. On October the 26th of 2021, you heard this ILP amendment proposal. The board unanimously voted to table it, and staff was asked to further get with the fiber optic director and the design team. On November the 16th, Planning Commission had a meeting, and a detailed discussion took place with Ronnie Lovejoy and Jesse Parker. Staff later worked with the county attorney, Larry Fry, for proper language of your requested revisions. And then tonight, this was formally formally advertised. Legal advertisement describing the text amendment proposal was published in the Hurricane Breeze as required on November 11th. The new packet that you have here in front of you reflects your changes as previously discussed. For the record, I'm going to read the new proposal language. The new proposal language for the improvement location permit ordinance 200.09 conduit requirements. This requirement will be applicable to all areas of Putnam County, West Virginia through the improvement location permit ordinance. All newly located or relocated single-family structures, all new residential structures, and all new construction of any residential or non-residential structure, including any major subdivision development, any manufactured home park development, any leased community development, or any other development in Putnam County shall include the following. Number one, an entry point into the new residential or non-residential structure consisting of a conduit with 1 1/4 inch diameter from the street or road into the new building or structure, and number two, the conduit will penetrate the structure at the electrical panel or network area. The conduit shall be stubbed off at the location, and number three, there shall be a working electrical outlet within 3 feet of the terminus point of the conduit, and four, the developer of any major subdivision development, any manufactured home park development, any leased community development, or any other development shall install the 1 1/4 inch diameter conduit through the right-of-way of the development and shall include the location of the conduit on any map or plat so that it can be located in the future. This provision shall not be applicable to any area of Putnam County that is only being provided with wireless broadband service, provided that if the Office of Planning and Infrastructure, in consultation with a fiber optic director, determines that any currently served by a wireless broadband service is to be served in the future with a fiber optic cable, then the provisions indicated above shall apply. Jesse Parker of S&S Engineering is present for tonight, and he's here for any comment or questions if you have them. Whenever you're ready, and if you find this suitable, we just need a motion to pass and go to the County Commission.
Thank you.
Yes. Your worksheet here is attached in the back as normal.
Anybody on the board have questions for staff or for Mr. Schaefer? Okay. Need a motion to close the public hearing, correct? Because we're still under the public hearing for this, correct?
No, it's my understanding the public hearing
Was
was
closed until- okay.
at the original meeting,
Okay.
yes.
So we have a worksheet here that we need to work through. Criteria number one, will the proposed amendment protect and promote the public health, safety, convenience, morals, and general welfare? Anybody like to take a stab at that?
Yeah, I think it does. It clearly is part of our process towards getting fiber optic service in this county and providing multiple internet service providers to as many people as possible within the county. It certainly falls within the standards that we have in front of us.
Mr. Foster has answered yes. Would anybody else like to add anything to that? Okay. Criteria number two, is the amendment consistent in achieving the objectives of the adopted comprehensive plan, US 35 corridor management plan, and the Tays Valley land use plan?
I think, well, I'll offer, for the same reasons that Mr. Foster mentioned a moment ago, it obviously would be consistent with those objectives in enhancing the ability to move fiber optic into residential and other structures when they're built.
Would anybody like to offer a varying fact? Okay. So answer to number 1 and number 2 are yes. We do not need to go on to number 3. We will take a motion to accept, or entertain a motion to accept based on these criteria.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the Tays Terrace Townhouse and Duplex Major Subdivision. We do need a motion to open a public hearing for this. Motion for public hearing.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to open a public hearing.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, C&E LLC has applied to the Office of Planning and Infrastructure for the development of Tays Terrace, a 4-lot townhouse and duplex major subdivision on a 0.55 acre parcel located off Route 33 in Scott Depot, West Virginia. Tax map 215, parcel 65. Randolph Engineering has been contracted for engineering services. The reference documents, Tays Valley Land Use Plan, the US 35 Corridor Management Plan, and the Putnam County Community Plan 2014 Bridging to the Future may be found at the President's seat. Legal authority may be found in Article 100.04, Major Subdivision, Section 100.04, Section 100.0432, and Section 100.0433. Article 1300 requirements for townhouses, Section 1300.01, 1300.02, 1300.03, and 1300.04, as well as Tables 1 and 2. The applicant submitted a subdivision application and disclosure statement on November the 22nd, 2021. A copy of the application and disclosure statement are included as Attachment A. The applicant does not own the property, but is a developer and is seeking pre-approval of the project Tays Terrace before purchasing the property. A copy of the deed is included as Attachment B. A copy of the preliminary plat is included as Attachment C. Water and sewer service is approvable through Putnam PSD. A copy of the correspondence email is included as Attachment D. An application has been submitted to the West Virginia Department of Highways to request a highway access permit. A copy of the correspondence between OPI staff and Randolph Engineering is included as Attachment E. An application has been submitted to the Office of Emergency Services regarding the development name, street names, addressing, sign standards, and sign locations. A copy of the E911 letters is included as Attachment F. The property is currently vacant land and is in the non-zoned area of Putnam County. The property is not located in a flood zone and is identified on FEMA Firm Panel number 54079C0253D. A copy of the map is included as Attachment G. The proposed declaration of protective covenants for Tays Terrace has not been submitted. Although the restrictive covenants are not mandatory during the preliminary review, they must be approved and recorded prior to the final approval and the sale of any lot. A sign plan for the subdivision monument sign has not been submitted to or approved by the Office of Planning and Infrastructure. An approved sign permit must be issued prior to construction of the subdivision monument sign. No variances have been requested. On December 7th, 2021, all abutting landowners within 250 feet were notified of the proposed subdivision. On December 9th, 2021, the subdivision was legally advertised in the Hurricane Breeze. A site sign notice of public hearing was posted on January the 11th, 2022. The county engineer, Lee McCoy, PE, has given a conditional approval for the subdivision as submitted. The condition is for the acquisition of the WVDOH permit for the drainage and access encroachment. A copy of the PE letter is included as Attachment H. Planning Commission discussion. Is the major subdivision submittal consistent with the county's comprehensive plan? See reference documents. Do the streets, utilities, and safety design standards meet acceptable specifications? Is the layout of lots suitable for the physical conditions of the property? Are natural and unique areas, if any, protected? Are the costs of construction borne by the developers and not the taxpayers or residents? If approved, are any conditions needed that minimize the impact of the subdivision on the surrounding land and environment? Planning Commission action, motion to classify as a major subdivision, motion to approve or deny subdivision with or without conditions, and Resolution 2201 is at the back of your packet for your review.
Thank you. Before we go any further, I should have done this before I had you start, Tina. Are there any conflicts of interest amongst the board for this item? Okay, thank you. Is the owner or applicant here or engineer would like to make a statement? Okay. Does anybody on the board have questions for staff at this time? Okay. We will close the public hearing, then hearing no additional questions for staff. Tina? Yes, sir. Okay. Second? All in favor? Aye. All opposed, or any opposed? Need a motion or non-motion with or without the conditions, correct? Okay. Tina had provided the conditions and resolution here, like a motion for having those conditions tied to this project or not, or changed. These are rather standard conditions that we typically have, correct?
It is. This, usually the last page, the first paragraph is what I included into that.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Resolution 22-01. It's in the packet. Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the resolution 2201, including all the conditions that have to be met for final plat.
Okay. We have a motion to accept Resolution 2201. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Yeager. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is the Riddle property. Are there any conflicts of interest here on the board for this property? Okay, seeing none, we will open the public hearing for this. I understand there's probably a lot of you guys here for this particular item. We had a sign-in sheet when you came in. We asked you to mark if you wanted to speak. We have 5 folks who have checked that they want to speak. Is there anybody else in the audience that signed in that do not? Okay. We're going to limit you to 2 to 3 minutes apiece. We have a lot to get through here, so we appreciate you coming out.
Did you get the one in the back?
Yeah, I got her. So. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing for the Riddle property.
Justin L. Riddle submitted a zoning amendment application for rezoning on September 2nd, 2021 to rezone 17.176 acres located at 100 Riddle Way, Scott Depot, West Virginia. Tax map 213, parcels 43, part of 44, and 87, zoned as an R1 single-family residential district and petitioning to be rezoned as a C2 high-density commercial district. I just wanted to point out that we made some posters over here for you to look at if you need more guidance. Facts that need to be determined. The proposed amendment would protect and promote the public health, safety, convenience, moral, and general welfare. The governing body, with the advice of the Planning Commission, must find that the amendment is consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan. If the amendment is inconsistent, then the governing body, with the advice of the Planning Commission, must find that there have been major changes of an economic, physical, or social nature within the area involved which were not anticipated when the comprehensive plan was adopted, and those changes have substantially altered the basic characteristics of the area. Reference documents are at the president's seat. Legal authority may be found in zoning ordinance for the zoned unincorporated areas of Putnam County, West Virginia, Article 2000, Section 2000.01, Power of the County Commission. Zoning ordinance for the zoned unincorporated areas of Putnam County, West Virginia, Section 2000.02, Initiation of amendment to the ordinance. And Section 2000.03, Filing procedures. Request for rezoning of the property. Zone descriptions, Article 400, Section 400.01, Purpose, R1 Single Family Residential District. It is the intent of the R1 Single Family Residential District to establish low-density residential areas consisting of single-family dwelling and compatible uses. This district shall provide for the requirements consistent with community values and needs, standards consistent with those values and needs, and appropriate for a single-family residential district shall A, stabilize and protect the district's residential character while promoting a suitable environment for family life. B, provide for the access of light and air to windows while providing privacy by controlling the spacing and height of structures. C, require the provision of open space and the regulation of signs to enhance the quality of life. And D, require the provision of off-street parking to promote a safe and effective traffic circulation system. Article 650, Section 650.1, Purpose, C2 High-Density Commercial District. It is the intent of the C2 High-Density Commercial District to provide for a wide range of commercial uses whose nature of business requires convenient automobile and truck access. Such uses must be accessible to the county as well as the entire region and must be planned in a way to promote and protect commercial and working areas. For clarity, Article 150.02 of the ordinance defines a commercial business as any wholesale, retail, or service business activity established to carry on trade for a profit. Facts. Mr. Riddle submitted a zoning amendment application for rezoning on September 2nd, 2021 to rezone 17.176 acres located at 100 Riddle Way in Scott Depot, West Virginia, tax map 213, parcels 43, part of 44, and 87. Currently zoned as an R1 single-family residential district and petitioning to be rezoned as a C2 high-density commercial district. In preparation for this meeting on December 7, 2021, all abutting landowners within 250 feet, as well as Mr. Riddle, were notified of the proposed rezoning via USPS. In preparation for this meeting on December 16th, 2021, and December 23rd, a legal advertisement describing the rezoning request was published in the Hurricane Breeze. On January 10th, 2022, a notice describing the rezoning request was posted on site. Timeline explanation. On August 17th, 2021, Mr. Riddle submitted a Putnam County subdivision application to separate a .3963 acre parcel of land, part of tax map 213, parcel 44, from the existing 17.5 acre tract, tax map 213, parcel 44. The deed description and accompanying plat, both dated June 25th, 2021, prepared by professional surveyor William Gannot and approved by the OPI on August 17th, 2021, are included in this presentation as Attachment A. Mr. Riddle placed a double-wide mobile home on the newly created .3963 acre parcel of land, part of tax map 213, parcel 44. The placement of the home was permitted by permit number 11650. Mr. Riddle submitted a zoning amendment application for rezoning along with a disclosure statement on September 2nd, 2021, to rezone 17.17 acres. Located at 100 Riddle Way in Scott Depot, tax map 213, parcels 43, part of 44 and 87. Currently zoned as an R1 single-family residential district and petitioning to be rezoned as a C2 high-density commercial district. Excuse me. See Attachment B. Mr. Riddle submitted a Putnam County subdivision application dated November 16th, 2021 for the merger of 3 lots, tax map 213, parcel 43, part of 44 and 87. See Attachment C1. Mr. Riddle submitted a deed description dated November 13th, 2021, prepared by professional surveyor William Gannot on November 16th, 2021, calling out accurate meets and bounds relative to the parcel of land that would later become tax map 213, parcel 43, which is the parcel of land Mr. Riddle is requesting to be rezoned from R1 to C2. The deed description was not accompanied by an actual deed until today. See Attachment C2. Mr. Riddle submitted a merger survey dated November 13th, 2021, prepared by Mr. Gannot on November 16th, 2021, to create a 17.176 acre tract consisting of tax map 213, parcels 43, part of 44 and 87. The merger survey was approved by the OPI on November 19th, 2021. See Attachment C3. Mr. Riddle recorded a deed, Book 602, page 426 and 427, on December 6th, 2021, in the Putnam County Clerk's Office, attesting to ownership of the property. A copy of the deed is included in this presentation as Attachment D. This deed does not have an accurate description of the newly created parcel, parcel 43, that is being requested for rezoning. A site inspection performed by staff on December 9th found that existing access to the property is off Crooked Creek Road in Putnam County, Route 33/1. Refer back to the merger survey dated November 13th, which is Attachment C3. The pavement width of Crooked Creek Road, Putnam County Route 33/1, is 15 foot at the property access point. See Attachments E1, E2, and E3 for photographs of Crooked Creek Road at the property access point. The width of the right-of-way of Crooked Creek Road, Putnam County Route 33/1, is 30 feet wide. This is according to Mr. Gannot's plat depicting the property at tax map 213, parcel 44, .3963 acres, dated June the 25th, 2021. Refer back to Attachment A. Mr. Riddle confirmed via email December 15th that Crooked Creek Road, Putnam County Route 33/1 will be the vehicular access to the property being proposed for rezoning from R1 Single Family Residential to C2 High Density Commercial. There will be no access road to the property from Liberty Park Drive, which is zoned as a C2. Crooked Creek Road is zoned as an R1. Zoning amendment application for rezoning submitted by Mr. Riddle references tax map 213, parcel 43, part of 44 and 87. However, after merging the three parcels on November 19th, the new parcel number is 43. See attachment F for updated tax map 213, parcel numbers 43 and 44. The parcel does have a frontage of 143.43 feet. A copy of the zoning map is included in this presentation as attachment G. The proposed rezoning site is outlined with a blue line. The zoning districts and existing uses which are adjacent to the subject parcel include the following: R1 Single Family Residential Districts to the north, west, southeast, and east of parcel 43. R2 Mixed Residential District to the northeast of parcel 44. C2 High Density Commercial District to the southwest corner of parcel 43. Aerial photography of the property in question is included as attachment H. Article 400 R1 Single Family Residential District, which describes the purpose, permitted principal uses, permitted accessory uses, special permit uses, and development standards for the R1 district is included as attachment I. Article 650 C2 High Density Commercial District, which describes the purpose, permitted principal uses, permitted accessory uses, special permit uses, and development standards for the C2 district is included as attachment J. Written communications from residents regarding Mr. Riddle's rezoning request are included as attachment K. Options. The Planning Commission may take a variety of action on the proposed request. Should the Planning Commission desire further information regarding the application or facts and hearsay presented during the public hearing, the matter may be postponed for action later. Should the Planning Commission find that the application protects and promotes the public health, safety, convenience, moral, and general welfare and meets the intent of the referenced planning documents, the request can be recommended for approval to the County Commission. Should the Planning Commission find that the application does not protect and promote the public health, safety, convenience, moral, and general welfare, or does not meet the intent of the referenced planning documents, the request can be recommended for disapproval by the County Commission. A facts that need to be determined for rezoning worksheet is the last page in this packet. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Is the applicant or applicant's representative present? If you'd like to make a statement.
This is Travis, he's my business partner and all this.
If you wouldn't mind, state your name and address for the record, please. If you don't mind, could you just talking to the mic? Thank you. Thank you. Well, this is your opportunity because there's not a whole lot of back and forth. We're giving you this, your opportunity, and the public will have their opportunity to present any concerns, so.
So our plan with the property is not what some people may be looking, thinking we're building a gas station, a factory, or anything loud, anything to that effect. Our plan is to build a venue barn.
Okay.
That's the plan of the property, it's not, we're not building a wall, I guess is what we're going to have to.
Does anybody on the board have questions for the applicant?
I'm trying to picture where you would locate the structure. I've driven out there.
Okay.
I know when you go out, was it Wood Chase? Yeah, there's an area that's cleared out. It's like you've been doing some mowing, and then it drops off pretty precipitously. Would it be, you're talking about building a structure on that?
So, I think the best way to show, it's, if you're going out Woodscape, there's.
Woodscape.
Okay, there's a gravel road below it, 40 or 50 feet below it, and that gravel road makes a hard turn back toward the woods. And just short of those woods, there's a really large
Yeah.
open area.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so it'll be basically where that gravel road stops, on the front parcel. And as far as size, I mean, we're looking somewhere in the 80 by 100 to 100 by 100 range is what we're looking at.
Any other questions? Thank you, gentlemen. Yeah, if you want to pass them down through the board here. Okay, I'm going to open this up now for the public comment period. So if you'd like to come forward, state your name, address, and issue any comments you may have. And I'll just go down through the list. It'd probably be the easiest. Mr. Schaefer?
Yeah, as we talked, I can go over. My wife said that she would default time to me.
Okay.
So my name's Dave Schaefer. I live at 90 Woodscape Way in Scott Depot. I'm going to read this because I read faster than I talk. I have the along list adjoining boundary that's occupied to the property being discussed. Where he's talking about building is right in my front yard. I'm the closest residence to the site that would be developed on the property. My wife, along with my neighbors, and I adamantly oppose the rezoning. I sent you a letter on the 22nd that details my concerns. I explained how this rezoning will significantly decrease property values, create financial hardship, destroy my quality of life with noise, light, and visual pollution, violate the county's comprehensive plan for the community, and create an unsafe environment due to crime and traffic. I'll highlight just a few things from the letter, but please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll go in more detail. Otherwise, I'll assume that you understand and acknowledge my concerns. And I do appreciate those that visited my property. I appreciate those that contact me seeking a better understanding. To begin with, my wife and I searched for over 3 years to find a house like the one we purchased. We enjoy peace and quiet along with our great neighbors. In fact, right before we came, we watched deer playing in our yard. Our property matches my plans to grow my Harvey farm into a retirement income over the next few years, and we continue to expand all the time. The noise and congestion, along with the from the proposed rezoning, will make my animals less productive, and trespassing and theft that accompanies commercial endeavors is a great concern. The economic threat extends to my wife also, who works from home to an extent with her main job and completely works from home for her second job as a college professor. My quality of life is dependent on living in a quiet area with no traffic. My letter gave an overview of multiple combat deployments and the extended amount of time I spent outside the wire, away from the protection of combat outposts. The letter demonstrates I cannot have this in my front yard. Secondly, the site is not suitable for economic development. There's no access from Liberty Park, and traffic must use Crooked Creek. The road is not suitable for commercial traffic and/or the increased traffic. There is no sidewalk for pedestrian use. The road is not wide enough, nor is it painted. And the best part of the site is not suitable for construction or traffic. Mr. Riddle, I invite you to do bore samples. I spent over 20 years representing the federal government in construction and facilities management. I have a federal certification as a certified construction facilities management officer. I oversaw over $200 million in large construction and more than $100 million in maintenance, repair, and minor construction. Based on my experience, I'm telling you that the road is not built to DOH standards and will not withstand the heavy traffic. For example, there's no testing, there's bad subcourse for drainage, no safety edge along the pavement, no QC during construction, and the asphalt's not 3 inches thick universally. A sidewalk is needed for the safety of those to accommodate the daily walkers, bikers, and kids playing. The road barely supports two-way traffic with cars, but not commercial vehicles. As I said in my letter, every day I have to pull over to let a school bus pass. The road's just not wide enough. The central side of my property is not buildable. The field is full of trash and woody vegetation. This will decay and not support a building or even a road. There's no access for Liberty Park. He said he wasn't going to use it, but there's a large high wall that's taller than the four-story motel that's there. There's two other natural points of access along Woodscape, but both cross my property. The use of Woodscape will require the consent of those with easement, everyone, and we wouldn't allow commercial entity access to our private road. Furthermore, the two access points cross my property, and I will not grant an easement. I'm a huge supporter of local business. I truly am. I want economic developments for my children in my local community. All three of my kids have recently moved closer to us. They came from Morgantown, Wheeling, and Huntington. As further evidence, I always drive past chain stores to spend more money at local businesses. I understand the importance of business. I understand the importance of local business, but I also understand the importance of location. And this property, and the location of this property is not it. My brother's a special agent with the FBI in Tennessee. He and I discussed it, and I've researched the crime that follows commercial development. He and my research both stated that there will be noise complaints, drunk driving, speeding, assault and battery, sexual assault, theft, trespassing, and vandalism. We don't have these problems now, but that's your decision, but your decision will subject us to that. There are even more egregious complaints associated with other commercial enterprise that would be permitted to occur with the proposed change. As an example, one time, the only time my house alarm went off, the alarm company called the sheriff's office. We immediately went home. 45 minutes later, the sheriff's office called us and said, "Mr. Schaefer, we can't find your house." I have several good friends in Putnam County law enforcement. I by no means mean anything negative towards any implications toward them, but I do know that calls for assistance will not be responded to quickly.
About 45 more seconds. Mr.
Okay. Finally, as voters and residents, we have expectations for you. As planning board, you have the duty to represent the needs of the area residents. You have the responsibility to ask what change necessitates a change in zoning. There is none. How will the creation of high-density commercial districts in a residential area be a positive change? It will not. What will be allowed and how will it be regulated? We've heard already it's been marketed for sale. So how do you guarantee that the intent is only to construct the barn? You cannot. And I request, and ask that you honor this request for restrictive covenants to limit commercial activities to just a wedding venue. Why do we need a high-density commercial zone in a residential area as opposed to other locations in the county? We do not. What is the highest best use for the property? Consistent with Putnam County's comprehensive plan for the community, it is clearly rural residential and not high-density commercial. These questions, to the best of my knowledge and from what I've seen tonight, have not been addressed. I do appreciate your time. I and my neighbors respectfully implore you not to approve this outlandish rezoning proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. Ms. Mason?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Monica Mason. I live at 1775 Crooked Creek Road. Got a little bit of an emotional story to this. I've had family ties to this community as well as to that piece of property for 72 years. My mother was raised on the property that part of my property, thank you, my property is on right now. Her parents bought the property in 1950, and she subsequently was married to my father in 1973 and bought a small home beside her parents' property. They later moved to 383, built a home and moved to 383 Crooked Creek, which was on the same piece of a large acreage of land. After that period of time, I grew up at what was 380, from 170 Crooked Creek to 383 Crooked Creek. My husband and I, we left the area in 1996. We went and served in the United States Navy for over 20 years. We decided in 2016 that it was time for retirement. It was time for us to return to what we wanted to be a peaceful community. We wanted our 3 daughters to have an opportunity to come back to our family property. So we built on top of the Crooked Creek Ridge. When I was little, there was nothing there. There was dirt and gravel that we used to drive around that ridge line, and my grandparents owned a great, piece of land there. I wanted that same piece for my kids, that they could come, they could ride their bicycle, they could play. Now they're teenagers. We're 3 girls that are driving this year. So we wanted to be able to come back to our community after being gone for over 20 years, and we chose Putnam County. We chose to come back to our property. We could have went anywhere on any of the coasts that we've served on through our military time, but we wanted to come back home. We felt the community, the ties to our community, be able to continue to have a purpose and serve our communities is what we wanted to do, and to raise our children here. So I thank you guys for taking the consideration into looking at this property. We would like for it to be able to be in the same state that it is now. Unless, definitely, less, like Mr. Schaefer was saying, the access point of it, egress and ingress out of the area is very, very limited. It is difficult to have a vehicle to pass. I'm right up the street, the next home from Widscape, if you're going out the Crooked Creek to Liberty Park, and it's not wide enough. In the morning when I'm leaving at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, I do have to pull over for the school bus to come in to Crooked Creek. So I just please take all that into consideration, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Banhoff, if I'm butchering your name, I'm very sorry.
Hi, my name is Rachel Brinkerhoff. I live at 146 Berry Hills Drive in Winfield. As somebody who recently planned a wedding in Putnam County, I can assure you there are a plethora of wedding venues. When my wedding venue canceled on me 2 weeks before my wedding because of the COVID-19 pandemic, I was in a panic, as anyone would be. But I called multiple other venues that I had looked at in Putnam County, and they all had the date available. Not because of cancellation, but because there are multiple wedding venues in Putnam County. Now, this issue is also very personal to me. I love to walk my dog out through Crooked Creek, the only access point to this area. It's such a safe area. It has much less traffic than walking here on the streets in Winfield. And if you put a high-density commercial area there, it's not going to be safe for me. It's not going to be safe for anyone else that goes running through there. As she mentioned earlier, you have to pull over for traffic. There's no sidewalks. There's going to be nowhere to walk. So I urge you to please not pass this and to please not add another wedding venue in Putnam County. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Reel.
Good evening. I'm Abby Sabonia Reel, and I live at 62 Stone Ridge Drive. My house is located 250 yards from the site location. So this is very huge concern for my family, as I do have 2 young daughters, one that is 3 months old, which is home with my husband right now, so I could be here this evening. And we also walk our dog on Crooked Creek. We actually put in the application to DOH for them to pave Crooked Creek because we did get some dust from the kick-up on Crooked Creek, how close my home is on Crooked Creek. So every single home along that line has young families, young children in their homes. I'm very, very concerned about having some type of venue like this, but not only that, in the future, any owner that would buy this property, what would they turn it into? And I believe that you can turn anything commercial into that property. So as a concerned citizen, as a young mother, I urge that you do not move this forward as a recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am.
Brought enough paper and glitter for everybody. I'm Ellen Mills Pauley, and I live at 183 or 576 Crooked Creek Road, depending on what post office you ask. I think I sent everybody an email, my first mass email. I hope you got the email. Let me go ahead and just read this letter because it pretty much says it all, and it'll be quick and easy. Dear sirs and ma'am, I live on Crooked Creek Road and have lived there since my family moved there in 1958. Our farm adjoined 100 acres my grandfather purchased in 1919. My house and a nearby barn date to 1885, built by my grandmother's cousins when several Irish families settled in Putnam County. This is in reference to the zoning change from R1 to C2, and we've made all those references, tax map and application number. I am opposed to this rezoning request for the following reasons. Our road is hardly wide enough for existing local residential traffic safety. To quote this county's 2014 community plan, standards were developed to preserve property values and quality of life while balancing residential and commercial land use. Our county zoning ordinances list goals such as stabilizing the district's residential character, providing a suitable environment for family life, controlling height and spacing of structures, requiring the provision of open space, and requiring off-street parking for safety. Good zoning regulations recognize spot zoning as a negative use of zoning. As shown on the county tax maps, and I know you all have seen these, this one I think came from here. As shown on county tax maps, this request to rezone the Riddle property, which is surrounded almost entirely by R1 and R2, does not follow the current zoning intent, nor does it take into consideration the residents' desire to keep the residential neighborhood that they moved to. Please take into consideration that this residential and rural residential community is asking to be recognized as opposed to rezoning the Riddle property. We do not believe this change to be in the best interest of our county or our neighborhood. There is ample commercial property available locally, and other options are being developed on the east side of New Route 35. Spot zoning the Riddle property will establish a nasty precedent that cannot bode well for the residents of this county. Thank you all for your careful consideration of this change request, and feel free to contact me if you have any further questions. Also, and this is a note I scribbled at the bottom, there's no guarantee that if you rezone this to C2, that the good folks that just want to put in a venue barn there, which is not acceptable to the neighborhood, we don't know that they're not going to sell off 5, 10, X number of acres, and something else more onerous would be there. So anyway, I'd like to submit that to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Signature on it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, that's everybody on our list. Just to give everybody an opportunity, is there anybody else that would like to speak?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time. My name is Dr. Sherry Schaefer. I'm going to be very brief because I know it's late, but I do want to adamantly, and I say again, adamantly oppose this proposal. We did not move to Putnam County to be situated in the center of a commercial zone. I've lived in Cabell County, I've lived in Kanawha County, and I chose to move to this county, to be where I live for a reason. And I'm sorry, Mr. Riddle, but having that venue or having any other type of commercial entity there does not meet what the intent that I was looking for. I want somewhere where I can feel safe, where I can be happy, and on the weekends when we're just going to have 150 people or so around, I want to have my grandchildren over. I want to be able to have peace and quiet and enjoy the afternoons on my front porch. I want my husband to have that, my children to have that, my neighbors to have that. I'm asking you to consider this logically. I know that you all are intelligent human beings. Look at this as human beings and consider it logically. This does not make any sense whatsoever. Not economically, not emotionally, not anything does it make any sense to anyone. Please consider this, and please, whatever you do, oppose this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions here from the board to the staff?
I'm about to say anything else or no.
I'll start. My question would be, from a screening requirement, what would be required if this property was rezoned to C2 with residential on all four sides?
They would need fencing and shrubs.
If it's a residential zone beside of it or an existing house, there would be a minimum 10-foot buffer zone, and there are options, one being vinyl fence, a 6-foot tall, a combination of other fence and shrubbery or evergreens. However, I will say that sometimes, given certain circumstances, topography and other things can come into play.
How does that work with existing vegetation?
Again, it would come into play if there's certain conditions are met and a decision would be made to by the director. But in general, just undergrowth normally doesn't cut it.
Okay.
All by itself.
Any other questions for staff before we close the public hearing? Okay. Go ahead and close the public hearing. This is a unique situation. I do believe that everybody on this board would agree that, you know, we have a duty to balance both commercial development and keeping our residential neighborhoods safe and sound, and there's a delicate balance in that. Looking at this, we're trying to rezone a piece of property, in my opinion, that only has roughly 154 foot that is adjoining a C2 property. From where I sit on this board, to me, that's spot zoning to a T. That's, in my opinion, the definition of spot zoning. It's no secret, I'm a big proponent of commercial development. I've made arguments very strongly for commercial development in this seat. But from my point of view, this is spot zoning. But I'll leave that up for you guys on the board. We can discuss and work through the worksheet here, and let's have a good conversation about it.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know, I wouldn't even know where, I live in the subdivision next to this area. I live in Stonegate, and quite frankly, I've never been out Crooked Creek until this issue came up, and I drove out through there, and quite frankly, I had to back up twice, in addition to having to get off the road to have vehicles go by me. So I have serious concerns about commercial traffic on the existing roadway that's up there. The right-of-way might be 30 feet wide, but the roadway is nowhere near 30 feet wide, and it actually narrows and widens in various areas. So as far as the traffic on that road, especially traffic that will include folks that are may have been drinking during weddings and what have you, with the neighborhood and kids in the area, I have some serious concerns about that. I agree with you on the spot zoning. The only part of this track that touches commercial is down lower near Liberty Park. And if you look at that end of the property, actually where it goes to C2, it's a rock wall. It's a high wall. Nothing can be done with that. It really doesn't make any difference. That, you know, you couldn't do anything on that end of the property anyway. The only developable part of this parcel is up near Crooked Creek, the area he was talking about putting the wedding venue, because after that, again, I tried to drive down through there, and it just drops off at a very steep angle. There's a ravine back there. It's very beautiful, a rock ravine, but it's not capable of any kind of development, residential or commercial, on down the track. So for all those reasons, I think this is a terrible idea. And I have concerns. I understand these folks are going to put in a wedding venue, and it might go great. I know of 2 wedding venues in Putnam County that have not survived. And so what happens with the property after the wedding venue is a real concern to me.
I would agree. I have concern with our screening requirements alone, with your revenue coming from a wedding venue, that we could even logically, from an engineering standpoint, meet a screening requirement, because that has to go in first.
It's,
And probably my, sorry, Mr. Dodger, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, the highest best use, you know, if you look at the area out there, you drive out through there, there's some beautiful homes. It's a, you know, a nice flowing countryside type area. Beautiful, beautiful land with some beautiful homes on it. And I think we have an obligation, in my opinion, to help maintain that area out there and the way it is now. And I think that this amendment would not protect, promote the public's health, safety, or convenience, moral, or general welfare. In fact, I think for all those reasons I stated earlier, it would go against the general safety and welfare of the public. I would think that we, answering criteria number one, if we're at that point, I would say that that has to be a no.
I agree, I'll second.
I agree 100% as well. I've shown property out there and I have a larger vehicle, and to pass another larger vehicle is really hard to do. I mean, so I agree with Jim 100%.
I agree. Moving on then to,
Well, I'm going to
Go ahead,
comment
Fred.
on that one myself as
Go
well. I would concur with others that have spoken here about this. It clearly says that it's supposed to be used for, be able to be used for a wide range of commercial uses, which obviously we don't have that here. It's a tremendous distance to get over to the C2 property. And myself, like my fellow commissioner, we have been supportive of business in the county and making changes where they made sense. This one just doesn't make sense on its face, so I couldn't support it either, for the same reasons that Jim had.
And number two is, you know, obviously it's not consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan and the US 35 corridor management plan. So I think we have, I'd say no on number two also.
anybody else like to add anything to number two?
I think, you know, I will just say one thing, you know, we're not voting on what that property that Mr. Riddle would want to do. We're voting on the rezoning, right? So if we shouldn't even be privy to the knowledge of what it could be, right? We're going to say what the options are, you know, outside of what he plans to do with it. So that's you know, that's what we have to take into consideration, and I'll concur with everyone else here and think
That's a good point, Mr. Meeks. I mean, changing this to C2 opens up far more options for that property than just a wedding venue, and we have to look at all of those options and how they fit within the community. All right, so number one, number two are no's. So moving on to number three, since number two we answered as a no, is there any inconsistent with the comprehensive plan or the US 35 corridor management plan, has there been major changes of an economic, physical, or social nature that has substantially altered the basic characteristics of the area?
I mean, the answer's
That's also no. I mean, there hasn't been any changes, as we've heard, you know, testimony that the property's been there for a long, long time.
Sure.
So I would agree. All right, so we have three no's here, which, based on this, I mean, if we have one no, this variance can't be approved, so I will entertain a motion to recommend to the county commission that this property, or this rezone, not be approved.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second, Mr. Dodrell. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
So I know the process, it goes to the county commission next and they make the decision. Is that
Yes, sir, yeah. So all we're doing is we make a recommendation in the county commission, then we'll hear that and make the final decision. We're not denying or approving anything other than just a recommendation onto them.
And just one question, the current zoning in R1, it would include mobile communities, correct?
That's a question for staff.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
The zoning, R1 zoning that it currently is, includes mobile home communities, correct?
Not
I
multi.
think we've already talked about that, but I'm just looking here out loud.
I cannot hear you. I'm sorry.
The current status of R1, does it include mobile home communities?
No, it does not.
I've got it right here, Mr. Riddle. I'll be happy to.
I'm asking.
Yeah,
Doesn't
So-
be subdividing and putting,
You would have to classify as a major subdivision at that point.
okay, I can do that, correct? In the R1 status, that doesn't.
yeah, it's not on the agenda. You'd have to go back through, that's a question you have to file back through with staff. But it's not a it is not a permittable permanent use right now in the R1 zone, as the R1 zone.
Townhouses on it, that kind of thing.
I think we're closed, aren't we, Jason?
Yeah, we're closed.
Okay.
We got a mess up here. Figure out where the hell we're at. All right. We do have other items on our agenda. You guys are more than welcome to stay, but don't feel obligated. We appreciate you coming out.
I saw that.
Jason, was the vice president chosen?
I don't know.
So you can't miss a meeting.
And Ron didn't even, didn't really say it was my name, he just said you.
He just said that, yeah, I know, it's kind of indirect.
That makes Steve
I guess I got a point, Cam.
Flip a coin,
you have to finish that.
we draw a name.
Yeah, we'll come back to that in a second. We gotta do the rest of this.
Oh, yeah. You know how parents are. Jeff says the same thing.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get back on the agenda here and keep on going. The next item up for discussion is the consideration and approval of a memorandum of understanding between the PCP and the town of Buffalo to act as the planning commissioner for the town of Buffalo and to authorize the administration and management enforcement of the town of Buffalo floodplain management program ordinance adopted by the town of Buffalo.
Okay, if you will remember back a few months, we were up here and we did pretty much the same thing for the town of Bancroft. I said there would be one of three. Well, here are the other two. This is the next two items on your agenda. It's for the town of Buffalo and town of Poca. And for those communities,
Is it possible, this is for our attorney, is it possible to combine these two for expediency purposes? I don't think so. Okay, I'll make a motion, we combine the two.
I have a motion for Mr. Foster to combine the two memorandums for the town of Buffalo and the town of Poca. Do I have a second?
Second that.
The second, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
I don't know. They're exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
That we do the improvement location permit ordinance, the floodplain ordinance, and the subdivision ordinance for both these towns, Buffalo and Buffalo and Poca. Just to recap real quick, last go around, these have been in place for a very long time. I think these have been here since 1994, and we've been operating off of the same memorandum of understandings since then. It was brought to our attention under a separate matter that it would be a good idea to keep the paperwork update and change them and have new signatures every time there's a new mayor. So that's what we're here for. The paperwork is the same. Mr. Fry put these together. There is no difference from the Bancroft one that's been signed, except Bancroft was solely for floodplain. These two have other two ordinances. So if you all find it acceptable to continue in the way we've been going for an extended period of time, we'll need a motion for each individual one, or to make sure you combine clearly, two for one, and then we'll move forward to the county commission for final signatures and approvals. And of course, I'll answer questions if you have any.
Any questions? So we'll need two motions, one for each.
I move we approve Bancroft recommended for approval to the
Buffalo.
commission.
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Second. Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Same motion with respect to Buffalo.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so that's something the president will sign. We'll make sure to get his signature here before we leave.
Mr. Fry?
There was, who made the motion?
Mr. Dodrell made,
I made both motions.
Required him
To combine them.
to combine them was Mr. Foster and Mr. Meeks.
Just so we could,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Who made
who
the
combined
initial- Yeah, we're good. All right, yearly report. Do you want to take that on?
I'm going to take a stab at it. I've made some notes for everybody. First and foremost, a lot of work was put into this report, and Kathy and Tina and David did all the work. I'm just merely sitting here and going to talk to you about it. And Mr. Fry, he's going to talk to you about it also if it comes up. But just a few quick notes to go through it. Everybody has a copy. It's literally hot off the presses this evening. Some of the highlights, there are 38 commercial permits approved this year, calendar year, 21 public hearings about zoning issues, 61 zoning permits such as change of land use signs, fences, 76 residential permits, that's site-built homes and manufactured homes, 46 new major subdivision lots preliminary approved, 101 in-house subdivision approvals, that's administrative mergers, deplats and such. Our fiscal revenue for the 2020-21 year is $120,083. We also have the fiscal approved budget for the 2021 year was $301,047, and the 21-22 year, $477,620. We've taken quite a jump there because the county commission has been so grateful as to give us some money to upgrade our needs in the office for copies, and we have a new plotter. We're hoping to get some options to get rid of our filing and some paperwork, and so that's something they're considering right now. And then lastly, the last note I have here is in the back of your packet or back of the book there, you have dilapidated. We highlight several before and after cases. The pictures are pretty amazing. Tina's worked very hard on it, and there's 41 cases that have been closed. So.
Just to allow the members of the Planning Commission to hear it, prior to 1921, how many cases were closed?
I'm not sure there was, yeah.
Prior to 2021, I'm sorry, prior to 2021.
Yeah, I'm just
Okay,
saying, I didn't think
could
the
you
number
repeat
was
that
very
louder,
high.
please? How many before 2021? Real loud, Tina.
Zero. In fact, not one of them has ever made it to the county commission level.
And 41 last year alone, I think we deserve to give somebody a round of applause.
So that's all the notes that I've taken. And Mr. Fry may have something to add, and of course, we're available for questions if anyone wants to bring them up.
I think, Mr. Fry, I don't want to steal your thunder, so if you want to do this, go for it. But if you look at the revenue tab, to me, that's one of the most impressive things. And the fact that in 2020, 2021 years, $120,000 revenue, if you start combining multiple years, it's rare that they add up to that. So as a business guy, that's what I look at. I don't
We've been
really.
very busy. We've worked very hard, and the money shows it.
Yeah, 05, 06 is the only year since 94 to 95 that there was a more revenue than what was taken in last year coming out of COVID. So kudos to the staff, kudos to everybody. If you don't think what we do here works and is important, the numbers would tell you otherwise. Appreciate it. Moving right along, if nobody has any questions, staff report. Larry, is that you? since you got roped in here at the last minute?
I don't have a great deal to mention to you. I mean, as you know, I have kind of transitioned out of planning. Mr. Cole could not be here this evening, so I'm just kind of standing in for him. As you mentioned, the revenue for this year was fairly large compared to many of the last years. I think there was only one year that beat us, and this was a year of transition, basically. We lost the planning director, had me in there for about 7 months as the interim director, and now we'd have a new director. So there was a loss of somewhat of continuity there, and I think every time that I appeared before you, I kept telling you, we're busy there, and we had a lot of commercial activity that was going on. Those take a lot longer to complete than just a normal, here's a building permit for a house, it costs $40. Some of these were some large projects with Frito-Lay, CAMC, a couple of them. We had some expansion out of Toyota when they put in the solar arrays. So there were a lot of big projects that were going on during this period of time, and it was a period of transition. But I mean, I think the numbers show that of all the permits, whether it's commercial, residential, the administrative approvals, it was a busy year for us. And I suspect it's going to continue along that same line for some period of time. But it's good staff there. And in addition to all of the stuff that we're doing with the planning, as you know, the DEA is part of it now. That has taken on a life of its own for the most part and consumes a great deal of Ms. Peck's time, in addition to her duties as a planner. 41 cases closed in the last year. I think there are a total of 18 that are still open, and we started with a huge backlog. So a lot of things are going on there, and we bring the reports to you at kind of as a summary, but it's the day-to-day. I mean, when we tell you there were 41 cases closed, I mean, that was a number of hours that she spent not only going out, investigating it initially, going back and doing follow-ups to see what they've done, have they done anything, and then bring it before the DEA board, and then the approval by the planning or the county commission. So there's a lot of hours in each one of those things. It's not, okay, we got the complaint, we've closed it. I mean, the hours and hours spent probably on each one of the cases. So a lot of work goes into it.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. Anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay. The only item, and thank you to Mr. Mays here on unfinished business. Ron, when you guys had your election committee, did you appoint a vice president as well? So if I get hit by a bus or get COVID? Was it Mr. Mills by any chance?
It is Mr. Mills. I'm a little surprised that Mr. Mills isn't here because he usually shows up on a regular basis, but he'll be a good one.
That's what I thought, so just let the record reflect. Any additional unfinished business?
I would like to say that it was a good year in Putnam County. There was a lot of commercial activity going on. There was actually a pretty nice size residential. There's another big residential one coming on. Actually, there's two going on in the county right now. And I think a lot of that has to do with some of the changes that we've made to make it easier to get through the permit process. And I want to thank the Planning Commission for all your hard work and all the time that you do for the low pay.
I'd just like to add, Larry, I appreciate everything you've done. I mean, this year's been great to work with you, and I appreciate your guidance and your hard work, and you guys too. You guys have blown out of the park, and I appreciate everything.
Yeah, I would echo that. Any new business? I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
This is a good public hearings, an hour and 20 minutes. A lot better than the ones I've seen.